Hello and welcome this beautiful Wednesday morning to Market Insight. I am Lavina Emma. Now, a very popular quote from a Scottish writer, Robert Burns, from his poem, Man Was Made to Mourn, which was written in 1787. So this quote goes as follows: man's inhumanity to man makes countless thousands mourn. Now, the reason I quoted from Robert Burns' poem is because recently, Nigerian Customs Service intercepted smuggled yam in Akwa Ibom State, which was en route to Cameroon. And in addition to that, the Customs Service, also operating at the Sokoto Zamfara Area Command, seized 15 trucks carrying food, grains, and some other items which are about to leave the country. So a question, now why are we smuggling food out of the country? We all know at the moment we are facing a food shortage in different parts of the country. So there can only be one reason for this: man's inhumanity to man, because I feel this problem affects every one of us in this country. This shortage of food, whether it's grains, whether it's whole food, we are all affected by it. So we shouldn't be smuggling, and the government recently placed a ban on exporting grains from the country. So there is no need for us to smuggle. The most important thing, in my opinion, is for us to actually have sufficient food to feed our local population, and then once that is achieved, then we can start exporting food items. But on the other hand, there is an argument also that we need to have foreign exchange in the country. So if we are exporting these food items, won't that bring in more foreign exchange to us in this country? So on today's show, I'm going to be discussing this with my guest, how we can tighten our borders to actually enforce this ban on food items, and also how we can also, if there's a way around it, how we can also export food items to actually get the foreign exchange that we need. I have a guest in the studio to discuss this current situation of smuggling foods outside the country, and also how we can generate more foreign exchange for us in the country. So my guest is our popular stockbroker, Mr. Charles Fakrogha. He has over 20 years experience in the financial industry, financial services industry, and he's also a chartered stockbroker and also an investment banker. Welcome to Market Insight, Mr. Charles Fakrogha.
Thank you, Lavina. It's nice being on your show.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you here. So how did the capital markets fare yesterday and also today? I understand that people are still trading on the floor.
Well, let me just say the trading on the floor of the exchange, that's the NGX exchange, is a daily basis, Monday through Friday. Of course, except on public holidays. Even when we had COVID, we're still trading, because of technology. Yeah, yesterday we had a bullish market, let me use that word, because the bulls were in control of the market yesterday.
So that's a good thing when it's a bullish market?
Well, it's good for those who have entered before, while those who are entering that very day, they might say it's not too good for, because majority of the prices went up. Okay. Now, but a market being dynamic, you expect that kind of frequent buying and selling. Prices will go up, prices will come down. So for yesterday, the all share index, what we used to measure the performance of the equities market, went up by 1.45%, and the ASI has already crossed the 100,000 mark. So as of yesterday, it was doing 103,524.04 basis points, and the total volume of shares that the exchange hands as at that yesterday was over 565 million units. Exchange hands, people bought and sold, and all the shares were valued at about 14 billion naira. So you can see that a lot of work is going on, at the market as at yesterday. Then we had some gainers, some of the equities that gained. We had UBA, we have MTN Nigeria, we had Julius Berger, we had Access Corporation, and of course, Veristas Cab, an insurance firm. All these ones were the ones that gained yesterday. I think we had what we call a positive breadth. That is, we had more gainers than losers as at that yesterday. However, on the losers table, we also have some that also lost yesterday. And the likes of Tantalizer, the likes of Natscom, Morrison, CNI Leasing, Transcorp, Cuties, Ella Lake, and even Dangote Sugar. These were the companies that lost yesterday. Now, We are going to be experiencing a mixed market for this week. Okay. We have seen the first 2 days of trading. It's been positive, and of course, today, well, now looking at what is happening right now as we speak in the market is looking a little bit upbeat. That is, as we speak now, you know, when I left the market at about 10:40, we can see that we are already having the market doing positive. It's about 0.26% now. It's up, you know, but this is as at 10:40. And like I said, we just transited from the auction. You know, when the market opens, we have what they call the pre-open, you have the auction, yes. Then of course the continuous trading. So right now, we're in the continuous trading now where people can put in their orders, whether it's their quote from market makers or for traders. Everybody's putting on their orders now and matching is already taking place. So that is a continuous trading. So it's going on. So maybe at about 2:20, thereabout, we might have another auction again, and of course the pre-close, then the market will eventually close. But as we speak right now, the market is up, UBA is up, Access Bank, we've done a volume of over 16 million right now, valued about 849 million naira. So you can see Jais Bank is also up there, you know, as we speak now. The ones that are also losing, Transcorp is still losing as at now, Unilever, Unity Bank, of course, the Capital Quota and Lasaco. So what we are saying right now is, looking at the market, I mean, being an experienced trader, I've seen that in this continuous trading is obviously, all things being equal, the market might close in the positive direction. Yeah. However, as a trader, I also know that just some few minutes to close of market, you know, when we are doing that auction, anything can happen. And you have some traders, they don't come early to the market. You know, they watch the markets, look at what is going on, and before they can now put in their trade. So it's still very early to say that market is going to close positive or negative. But
as yesterday was positive.
It closed positive. Yeah. So I also expect that all things being equal, as at today, it will still likely going to close.
The trend might continue.
The trend might continue. But you see, market is market. You must have prices going up and prices coming down. Yes. So in a nutshell, that's what is currently going on in the market.
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful analysis, Mr. Charles. Yes, you really explained it to us how the markets fared this week and also today, since trading is still going on. So yes, so on today's show on Market Insights, I want us to discuss this issue of smuggling in the midst of our current food shortage challenges that's going on all over the country. And I spoke with a guest yesterday. I also mentioned that the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization predicted that there'll be a shortened or a worsened food crisis in 26 states of the country, including the Federal Capital Territory. So this is something that is not going to end anytime soon. I would not even say it has reached its peak yet, because most analysts are saying, oh, the peak period will be between June and August. So it's going harder and harder. And in the midst of all this, you still find there are some people who are able or who are smuggling grains and other food prices, other food items like tomatoes, like yam, and the customs, Nigerian Customs Service, they've been quite vigilant at the border points, checking all these trucks and being able to send some of them back to their owners, telling them with the directive, because it's a directive from the president, that they should sell food items to Nigerians, not export to other countries. So I believe, as we are all patriotic citizens of this country, our first aim should be to make sure that we all are well fed in the country before we can start exporting these food items. So I would like to discuss this with you. Now, what economic factors do you think are responsible for this drive to making Nigerians smuggle food out of the country?
Well, thank you very much, Lovina. You see that, yes, for every crisis, yes, some persons will want to take advantage.
That's true.
And some persons will say, well, it's a capitalistic society. So yes, when there are issues, there are problems, people want to profit from it. Yes, we have a food crisis in Nigeria, and we are being told that there is food insecurity. But I've been asking myself, you know, what is actually this food insecurity, or what is food security? If you recall, last year the president declared, or they said, food insecurity or food security is now in the purview of national security. Do you know what that means? That means that it is critical.
Yes.
It is critical. I want to say something of national security. or maybe I am behaving in a way or making certain statement and they tell me my statement is of national security. Of course, the Secret Service will pick me up immediately, okay? Yes. Because it's of national security. Yeah. So now the president has escalated this food crisis to say it is under the purview of national security. And all the security agencies, whether it is custom, whether it is police, whether it is the Nigerian army, they should take it. And that's why we are seeing most of these seizures now, okay? But again, what is that food security? When you say a man or a woman is food secure, what does that mean? That means they have sufficient food that will generate enough calorie for a day, maybe at about 2,000 to 2002, yes, 2000.
Yeah, 2005
calories, you know,
yes.
in a day.
Yes.
And that will cost about 82,000 naira per year.
Yes.
Okay, that is on a normal situation. Now, we are not going to talk about the sufficiency of that in terms of the quality and the balanced diet, you know. Well, I speak this way because as a chemist, I understand what it takes to have a balanced diet. We're looking at the fat and oil, the protein, the carbohydrate, the vitamin and all that. Yes. That is a discussion for another day. But for now, we're talking of just starchy grains to see that, yes, these persons have this number of calories in a day. Now, why do Nigerians begin to want to smuggle out this food? Because of this crisis now. In the past, if we had sufficiency food, you know, in the country, custom will not even bother. If you're exporting yams outside the country, you're exporting grains outside the country, they will not even. But now, there is a crisis. And the president of the country, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has given that directive to custom and said, please ensure that these food items should not leave the country. So if you do that, it's already smuggling. Yes. And they should be dealt with accordingly. And I must confess, this Nigerian custom has done so well in terms of policing the border. However, I believe they can still do more. Now, what is making Nigerians to want to smuggle these food items? We'll look at it from this perspective. For me, it's just monetary wickedness. And from your quotes, which is up to the point, on point, man's inhumanity to man. You know that our currency has been devalued. That is obvious. So when you want to export this thing outside the country, probably they want to get hard currency. So for them, it's their own profitability. They're not thinking of the welfare of their fellow Nigerians. And that is why I love what the president did by saying, customs, most of these food items that you have seized, please sell it to Nigerians. Or, I think the last one they said, give it back to the owners, let them sell to Nigerians. Yes. Because a country that cannot feed itself, that is a disaster. It is easy for insurgency and other people to just provide bread, some little food to some persons. They are ready to do anything. That's why I say an hungry man is an angry man. Yeah. And a nation that cannot feed itself cannot be said to be a nation. In the past, we were told, maybe in 2022, we are saying because of the Russia-Ukraine war, wheat did not come to Nigeria. For me, I find that very offensive.
But you'll be surprised to note that in spite of the Russia-Ukraine war, Ukraine was still able, during the
to supply Africans wheat.
With grains.
So we can say, so what are we complaining for? With the vast arable land we have in Nigeria today, we are not supposed to complain. Because even the wheat, this wheat we are talking about, can grow in Nigeria. Millets can grow in Nigeria. Rice can grow in Nigeria. Now everything is abundant in Nigeria. And we have the land. So what is our problem? People have said insurgency, banditry, people cannot go to their farms and all that. But the issue now, I even begin to ask myself, are you sure we even have food scarcity in the country? Is it not that we have this food, the prices are so high, the average Nigerians cannot afford it, and these traders are saying, wow, that's opportunity. Let me export and earn dollars. In fact, I was really appalled when even agro-allied companies, these are companies that process agricultural produce. Yes. They add value to it. And One of the marketers was saying, they don't have any inventory again. I said, but why? And he told me, and I was amazed.
What's the reason?
That their organs told them that this one they have nice for exports. So you can see it's not even only the raw
material,
the raw food items they are trying to export, even processed
finished, yes.
Finished, you process maybe unripe plantain, you process it to what do they call it now?
Plantain chips.
Not even plantain chip, flour.
Plantain flour.
To plantain flour and other flours, you know, you want to now, you package them very well. You want to export because you want to earn forex. Yes, agreed. At this point in time, Nigeria needs to do a lot of exportation. But first of all, we must feed ourselves. It's just like a man who cannot feed his children at home and he's telling you the little food he has, he wants to export it so that he's going to earn dollar to come and give to those same children. Maybe after he has done that, before he's coming, the children will have died. So, and that's why President Bola Tinubu, as the father of the nation, has come out, clearly and said, Nigerian custom, please ensure that none of these food items leave the country. In fact, the custom board has even gone further, talking to grains merchant in grains international market in Kano, and say that's an international market.
Yes.
People come from all over Africa, Central Africa, Niger, Chad, to come and buy. In fact, I served in Borno State, and I know that when they have the market day, you will see people coming from as far as Central Africa. They're coming to buy food items from Nigeria, and of course, they also brought some, But because of our peculiar challenge now, the president is saying, please, for now, don't export. Don't sell this food outside. Let us look at how we can feed ourselves. Because the issue of where Nigerians, our brothers, our sisters, will go out to the street and begin to destroy government warehouses looking for food.
Yes.
And we have seen cases where
they've been successful at it.
Yeah, a truck carrying food items,
bags of
people
rice,
go and attack it and all that. And we also see people who go to the market and they cannot afford to buy anything. They cry, and we even had somebody even died.
Yes.
Yes. So that's why it's a food crisis. And we are saying government has one responsibility to ensure the welfare of the average Nigerian. So for me, that is good. I just employ these are traders. Please, it's for the time being. Don't think of exporting. Let us see how we can sell the food here in Nigeria and let people eat and be sufficient. Coming back to that food security, let them be able to generate enough calorie, about 2,200 to 2,500. Yes. So that, of course, it depends whether the male or a female.
Yes.
And of course, for children, that will be a bit lower. So once we have that food security, then other things can now begin to come up. Development can now come up, and then we can now say we can now begin to export. But for now, I think the government is in the right direction, trying to say custom. But my problem is, these are some of the ones we've been able to apprehend, and I believe for each of these trucks that has been, some have also escaped, maybe in connivance with security.
Well, we don't have proof of that, so we can't really say for now.
And you were going to ask, how are we going to police our borders?
Yes.
Well, I'll be a bit very cynical. These food items, these trucks are not matchboxes that people can just put in their pocket and just stroll across the border.
No.
Yes, this is well organized syndicates. And I agree with you, our borders is so vast. In fact,
especially in the northern part of the country.
You can't even differentiate between Borno State and Chad. I have had that experience. You cannot differentiate. But we are saying, with the use of technology, drones, border patrol all over the world is being driven by technology. So the custom can use that. Even our waterways, because we even saw in even Akwa Ibom State, where some tubers of trucks of yams were being exported to Cameroon. Maybe probably they're going to use the waterways. So of course, the Eastern Marine Custom, they said they provided a lot of patrol boats. Then with assistance from the Navy, they can police our territorial waters. Because for me, it's an economic crime. It's a financial crime. And once they are apprehended, of course, they should be handed over to EFCC to further the investigation. And of course, if they are found culpable, they face the law. So at this point in time, Nigerians should be vigilant and ensure that if we see any suspicious movement along our border community, then of course the security forces should be alerted.
Yes, I know you say that, that yes, I agree with everything you have said so far. Yes, people doing this are doing this strictly for selfish reasons. Yes, they want to earn the foreign exchange. But I believe we as a people should be very patriotic, and we need to work together with these government policies. Yes, it's actually temporary. It's not going to be forever. But I also want to know, like, what role can the private sector contribute to actually helping to enforce border security in the country right now? Because this measure of banning exportation of food is a temporary measure, but we need the partnership of everybody involved, both the private sector, and yes, the government is going to work hard on this, but the private sector, individuals in the country also need to come together to be able to achieve this measure. So what role do you think the private sector can play? Yes, Mr. Charles.
Well, first of all, we are not discouraging exports.
Yes, we are not.
And if you see, most of these persons that have been arrested now are not even registered exporters.
No.
Because there are procedures you will go through.
To become a
you fill out
registered
necessary
exporter,
custom
yes.
form, register, maybe it's Form I or whatever, Form X and all that, and you can now be certified, exporter. Of course, the quality of what we're exporting, if it's agricultural products, they will check it and say it meets international standard. We're not discouraging that. We want that. But for the private sector, what they can do in collaboration with government to see that we police our borders. Security business is not for only security operative.
No,
it's for everybody. So I will employ these indigenes who live in these communities, these border communities. In fact, they can even form vigilante group where they can quickly inform security operative when they see suspicious movement of these trucks out of their communities, so that they inform them and the security agencies will appear immediately and this will be taken care of. Then I also now want to appeal to those who are involved in that business. Of course, they are businessmen. I will appeal to them that for now, it's good to export, but for now, please try and be patriotic and ensure that this thing has been declared that if you export this, it's a crime now. Okay, it's a bit banned. You are smuggling, and there are laws against smuggling. So please, they should also be educated so that they are aware that these things they are doing is illegal. And if found, the long arm of the law will take its course.
What are the long-term consequences of smuggled food items on the well-being of Nigerians, actually? That's what I wanted to discuss with you.
Yes, the long-term impacts of this smuggled food. It's just like an household where they don't have enough.
Yes.
And even though they have enough, you don't make it available for them, the children, and as the head of the household, you are taking it outside. Now, you could go and export outside, you get your foreign currency or you make the money and you come back at home, the children are hungry. Are you a responsible parent? No. You are not. So the consequences on our well-being. One, in terms of every Nigerian will become food insecure because we are not getting the necessary calories that we need to make us food secure. That is one. Then two, even when you talk about the balanced diet, we will not be getting the sufficient nutrient in terms of the quantity of carbohydrate, quantity of protein, quantity of vitamin, mineral salt, and other micronutrients that our body require for our well-being and proper functioning. If you eat good food, well-balanced diet, you'll have solved about 50 to 60% of your health issues.
Yes,
and
yes, that's true.
once you are eating well, you are healthy. So you can see that even in terms of disease, you are preventing some form of diseases, okay? And at the same time, you are happy. Productivity of the country will improve. People will be smiling. People will not get annoyed unnecessarily. And the issue of what we see in the country today, at the slightest provocation, you are seeing people behaving as if there is no end to anything. So you can see that a nation that feeds itself well is likely going to be a happy nation. It's likely going to be a productive nation. And that's why we always say, let us produce and consume responsibly and, of course, sustainably. There are times we're also doing food wastage. This is the time we have to be very intentional, have to be very cautious, because we cannot say at this critical time now, people want to begin to waste food. We have to be very, very mature in terms of the way and manner we eat, and of course, make it more responsible. And we'll see a positive well-being of the average Nigerian.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Charles. Okay, so now, you know, I mentioned earlier on that there's also this argument for the fact that this temporary ban on food exportation was placed by the presidency. But we also know that we need this foreign exchange in the country. It's going to also help us in the country. As you know, the current situation with the naira against the dollar and other foreign currencies is not doing too well. But if we are able to actually export more items from our country, I think it might also help in that area, because recently there was a statistics by the National Bureau of Statistics where they were saying that we currently are faced with a trade deficit, and it wasn't like this last year. We were actually operating on a trade surplus, and the reason for the trade deficit, we are importing more than we are exporting actually. But so wouldn't it be better if this ban is how do I put this now, is a bit flexible? It's not so, yes, if the minute you're caught trying to smuggle, or rather as they put it, yes, smuggle food items out, immediately you're taken into custody, and they want to find out how you're able to carry this far up to the point of the borders. So wouldn't it be better if this ban is a bit flexible in terms of if a community can feed itself and perhaps there is excess food, wouldn't it be better if the producers of these food items can also export, just to get that foreign exchange back to the country actually? Like, I'm referring to people who are registered exporters in this event actually.
Well, thank you very much. It's a delicate balance. Yes, we know that from beginning, agriculture has been our mainstay.
Yes.
Forget when oil came, we all became lazy. Nobody wants to go back to the farm, you know. And you mentioned a balance of payment and trade deficit, yes, and yes, trade surplus. Yes, I agree with you that this at this time in our economic history, we need all this foreign exchange, yeah, you know, to correct this our inflation and all that. But again, will you be doing that at the detriment of your citizens? That is the matter. There are other items we can export. Yes, like food and not okay, cash crops. Okay, yes, we produce and we don't add value. You can allow people to export some of this cash crop, but we also need some of this cash crop in the country. So they can do what they call quota, or a certain quantity, okay, of say, okay, when you produce this amount of cocoa, these ones are designated for export, while these ones are for our local markets.
Yes.
So right at the point of production, so that everybody knows that if you are going to be producing 100 tons or 100 tons of cocoa, 80 tons should be for the local market, while 20 tons should go for the export market. That kind of arrangement can be made because we need this forex to come to our country. Again, there are other, we don't just begin to just produce and you just export the raw material. We need to add value to some of this agricultural produce before even exporting. Mm-hmm. And now, in fact, World Trade Organization will tell us that most of the products, agricultural products that comes out from Nigeria, they are not meeting international standard in terms of quality. So that's why the Nigerian Export Promotion Council has a lot of role to play. You have mentioned that you register this exporter should be registered, yeah, so that we know what quantity they want to export. It should not exceed that kind of quota they have given to them, because we need to be alive before we can be talking of a balance of payment problem or trade deficit or trade surplus. So yes, I agree, we need the forex, but at the same time, we need to feed our people.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, I totally agree with you. Like you also said, yes, a nation that can't feed itself is facing a very serious challenge, and we have been seeing that in the past weeks with protests taking place in different states in the country. And in addition to that, Nigerians breaking into government-owned warehouses and also hijacking trucks that are carrying grains of rice, as the case may be. So just on the final note, actually, what efforts can we do to address this food insecurity problem that can also help us to curb smuggling? Yes, it's being called smuggling right now. So what efforts can we take to address this food insecurity problem? I know in the past we talked about how farmers have this issue of, okay, yes, we can't successfully go to our farms because of bandits or fear of being kidnapped. So, but what exactly can we do to actually curb this food insecurity and also the smuggling problem at the moment?
Yes, I agree with you. We need to come out with strategies that are workable for us to, because we should not be talking about food insecurity if we have enough.
We shouldn't.
If we had enough of these food items, then of course even the excess can be exported, which is good for us. So we need to come back to the drawing board. Agriculture, what were we doing before? Do we have all-round farming season? That is, we don't wait, so, okay, this is the time we are going to plant, this is the time we are going to invest. There are mechanisms where we can have all-round planting season. Irrigation scheme. I remember growing up as a child in Nigeria here, we have River Basin Authority. We have several agricultural support programs. In fact, at one point in time, we had Green Revolution. We had Operation Feed the Nation. Coming to the present day, we even had Central Bank, the Central Bank of Nigeria, in their developmental issues, trying to support the economy. They were now even financing some agricultural products. We have the Anchor Brewer scheme. Of course, we know how they messed it up and all that. There were so many schemes, you know. They told us rice pyramid in Abuja. We didn't see those rice and all that. So again, the people involved, Minister of Agriculture and all the support agencies, we should be intentional. Irrigation scheme, a lot of research in terms of high yields, variety, the input, fertilizer, then
yes, some measures have also, like in terms of there's been some partnership with the ministry of agriculture, and also the Ministry for Science and Technology to create seeds that improve varieties of seeds that can survive our climatic conditions, especially during the dry season. So
exactly, so that farming can continue all around. Then most importantly, I also don't want to forget storage.
Okay, storage facilities, yes.
Because you see that some of these food items, they are during harvest period, tomato, they are so much, the prices are down, but as soon as those harvesting period is over, because of poor storage, we see some of them just rot away, and of course they will become so scarce, the price will not go up. So we need to have an effective storage facility for some of these perishable agricultural items. Then of course we saw what the president did in Niger State, mechanization.
Yes.
The one that we have, people like my grandmother still going to the farm. She can only feed herself and her household. And again, the young people are not going to agriculture. So we need to encourage agriculture from the grassroots, from the primary school. Let them understand that agriculture is key for you becoming a great nation. And somebody can have a career in agriculture. What happened to all the school of agriculture that we have today in the country?
They're still there.
They are still there. Yes. We should now begin to see them coming out with research, not only on food crops, on livestock and other agricultural products, so that we begin to see that, yes, agricultural extension officers, what happened to them? New findings in agriculture, improved seedling, should be communicated to the farmers in the language they can understand, so they can begin to implement it. Then we need to encourage our youths to be involved in agriculture, because farmers are supposed to be one of the richest people in our society. So we need to encourage people to go back to farming. But of course, those of us who live on the urban areas, if your little backyard, you can plant some vegetable, you plant some things, and at the end of the day, in fact, I must even mention this. I remember growing up in the barracks, we don't buy vegetable because we had bitter leaf, we had water leaf, we had ugu planted at the backyard. And each time you want to cook, we just go there, take the quantity you need, and you enter your kitchen and you are prepared. So, but what happens today? Because we have all left agriculture. We've left the land, and everybody is chasing white-collar jobs. People are chasing oil and gas, and that is why we're having this kind of problem. I must even tell you, there are some of the profitable companies listed on the stock exchange are of agric background. We're talking of Ella Lakes. We're talking of Dangote Sugar. I mean, this is agriculture.
I'm very much aware of that.
You know, we're talking of Bua Foods. You know, and we are talking of so many other ones like FTN Cocoa. You know, so you can see that agriculture is still very profitable.
Yes. Thank you so much for all of this, Mr. Charles Fakrogha, for actually going further to actually discuss this with us and looking at the other side of the coin, how we can also still be able to export if we, in the events that we have excess food operating with our registered exporters, we can also still export this food. So there should be some form of flexibility on this ban. Thank you for joining us this morning on Market Insight. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, and also when you keep talking about how we should have our little farm at the back of our houses. You know, you prompted me to actually get a small flower pot where I actually plant some water leaf vegetable and also some pepper in it also. So I just have this flower pot.
You're increasing the supply of those products.
Yes, I don't have to go to the market to buy these items. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us on Market Insight this morning. So let's take a look at the money market figures this morning. Let's look at our foreign exchange rates and the unofficial rates and also the official rates. So this morning in the money market, the dollar is selling in the official CBN rates as 1,520 naira, and in the parallel market it's selling for 1,603 naira. So you can see it's still the parallel market leading with the higher figures today, and the pound sterling is selling for 1,974 naira at the official rate, and the parallel market is 2,050 naira. So there's quite a wide gap actually with the parallel market figures, and the euro is selling for 1,691 naira at the official market rate, and the parallel market is selling for 1,740 naira. So these are our money rates this morning on Market Insights. As usual, the parallel market figures are still higher than the official rates figures. So thank you so much for joining me on Market Insight this morning as we discuss the food security challenges in Nigeria and this man-made food shortage which is currently happening, and also how we can work together with the government to actually achieve and ensure adequate food supply all over the country before we can start exporting food supply. And in the event that we have to export, it should be our excess food items that should be exported, not starving some communities or starving a certain area in the country just to make sure we get this foreign exchange in our own private pockets. So that was our time on Market Insight. It's always good to discuss these issues going on in our economy and how ways by which we could also solve them. So I look forward to joining you again tomorrow where we discuss other economic issues on Market Insights. I remain your host, Lovina Emma. Stay tuned to our next program on SOUQ News.